work a little bit on the shoulders and your awareness of the shoulders. So let's start with sweeping the arms forwards and backwards, sort of creating like a figure of 8 at the side of your body, and think about the shoulders. Almost the shoulders are sort of leading the way a little bit. So sweeping forwards and backwards, turning the backs of the hands towards each other, turning them back, opening up the shoulders when you're opening up bringing the arms back, and rounding the shoulders forwards and feeling that connection of shoulders against the rib cage. Brilliant. And now we're going to take the arms up to the ceiling, palms are up, and you've rotated so your little fingers are sort of on top. Rotate all the way up to the ceiling. There might be a little bit of a back extension there, and then turn your palms, and with soft elbows and soft wrists you draw the arms down. So we're taking the arms up and draw the arms down. And I want you to have this sensation, and it's a slightly odd one, I will admit, of stroking the wall or the door. So you're taking the arms up and then you're drawing down. And the feeling that we're trying to work on here is this activating the serratus around the shoulder blades at the side seam of the body. So just with one arm wrapped around, sort of underneath your armpit, take that arm up to the ceiling, and then as you bring the arm down, as you stroke the wall or the door, you're going to draw your shoulder blade down in your back, and it's almost that action which is activating, bringing the arm down. So sweep up and draw down. It feels like you're sort of giving yourself a bit of an armpit hug, and that's what I want you to think about. So taking the arm up without lifting the shoulder up, but let it just gently come up a little tiny bit, and then really focus on drawing the shoulder blade down in your back. So these muscles all switch on. The elbow is soft and the wrist sort of flips back. It doesn't work if you keep your arm completely straight, and it doesn't work if you completely bend your arm in. So just try a couple more of those, and we're going to repeat this movement when we're lying on our backs later on in class. So it's that softening, like I say, stroking the wall. Great, so then let's take our head into our hands, fingertips interlaced, and the focus today is on thinking about the placement of your shoulder blades on the rib wall, as well as our 10 things to do every day. So in this position, have your elbows as far out to the side as you can, and then just extend the arms, palms facing forwards. Now feel like someone's got hold of each hand and they're being pulled in opposite directions, and your shoulder blades are lengthening and drawing to the sides of the room as you go. And then place your hands back to the back of your head, still with that sense of the elbows leading, pulling away in opposite sides, in opposite directions, and then just bring your elbows into your periphery vision. Now this work in itself is actually making me feel I'm already applying that pressure, the back of the head into the hands. If I take this hand away, it's like I'm taking that chin back, I'm pushing into the top back corner of my head. And then from there, so this is the first one of our 10 things to do every day. Just holding this for maybe a count of 10, maybe 5 times. Do it every day. It will be great to counteract our forward head carriage. Get these muscles in the back of the neck, the deep neck flexors, get them nice and strengthened and build the endurance there. And what we're also going to do today is we're going to lift the chest up towards the ceiling whilst we're pushing the head into the hands. Lifting up and then returning to a neutral position. So you're lifting up and returning. From the side, it's like I'm folding over my bra strap here. So the base of the shoulder blades, I'm lifting up, lifting the rib cage and getting that lovely back extension, which we don't very often have. Try not to just move your head and your chin. This isn't the same thing. Also, try and think about the weight through your heels and the balls of your feet. It doesn't change. So generally, if I wasn't thinking about it, I would maybe let those hips drive forwards a little bit and my weight would go back on my heels or forwards onto the balls of my feet a little bit more, and then I would come upright. Try and keep absolutely still, as if you're sitting on a chair and you're thinking about your sit bones being on that chair. Then, once you've done a few of those, so I'm continually applying this pressure actually, I'm not really letting it release at all. Then we're going to go forwards, we're going to fold over. Crease at the ribs at the front, the floating ribs at the front, and then come back to a neutral position. Crease over at the front. And again, I'm not just moving the head on its own. I'm keeping that pressure back of the head into the hands. And it's quite hard work. It makes me very conscious of my ribs here. It's like doing a standing abdominal curl. Now let's add the two together. So you're going up and back, through the centre, folding over, not going too far, up and back, through the centre. Think about the weight through your feet. Are you keeping your big toe joint, your little toe joint and your heel equally weighted on both feet as well? So there's no movement in that lower body. Perfect. We're then going to take a movement, which again we're going to repeat when we're on the floor, doing our abdominals. You're going to fold forwards, and then I'm going to draw a sort of semicircle with my elbows, with my head, my arms and everything is staying in the same relationship. Drawing a semicircle, and I'm thinking of lifting this elbow up to the top corner where the ceiling and the wall meet. Sort of like a swing and a sway. So that's it from the front. If I turn sideways, looks like this. So I'm not coming completely upright, but what I am feeling, and this is what you'll notice if you're doing it correctly, from this elbow all along the back of this arm, around my shoulder to the sort of bra strap area, I guess again, middle of my upper back. On that side I'm getting a lovely stretch. The other side I'm not aware of the other side. And now I'm getting the stretch on this side, from this elbow round the shoulders, so rolling down, lifting up. It's like I'm trying to extend that elbow towards where the ceiling and the wall meet, and maybe you could just extend your arm before you put it back. Again, the head relationship stays the same. Perfect. Okay, from there, adding on, so we're going to go round in a circle. So first of all we go up and back, now we're going round to the side, now we're coming forwards, round to the other side and finishing up and back before you change direction. Take your time, keep the head pressing into the hands. So when I first started teaching this, quite a long time ago now actually, it was such hard work that I couldn't talk and do it at the same time. So if you're experiencing that, great job, because it means that you're working quite hard. But you should be feeling this as a strong stretch, but also it should feel quite nice to get everything mobilised. And we're continually pushing the head into the hands there. Well done. So that was going all the way around, upper body roll around. So that's number 1 of our 10 things to do every day. Let's mobilise the whole spine. I'm just going to go slightly to the corner. So we're lifting the chest again, looking up, sticking the bottom out. Find your bracing position, your sumo wrestler position. Fingertips are in, elbows are out to the side. You unravel your chest over your legs, your head hangs last, and then you lift the back, rounding the spine to come up. So I call this the chest lift first, and then it's the back lift. I'm lifting from there. So it's a chest and a back lift. Both times I'm just trying to flow and mobilise the spine. The spine is incredible. It can go in all sorts of directions, and at the same time it's really strong. Really strong, really flexible. Use it. Brilliant. Let's do the same sort of thing, but this time we're leading with the head. So this is called the Dolphin in Garuda Pilates. You take your chin onto your chest. I would call it a body ripple. You're arching through, you're leading with your head. So the two halves of the movement to get down to the floor, this time you lead with the head. So you tuck in and under, and then once you're down there, the head is at the same point it was before, but now I'm lifting the head up, so arching the back to lift. Rounding, and this doesn't have, I'm making this quite big, it doesn't have to be anywhere near that big. Just go with what you feel like doing. But once you've warmed up, once you've realised that nothing's hurting and nothing's going to fall off or break, then try and go for it a little bit more. Great, let's stretch sideways. Let's stretch the side seams of the body. So feet nice and wide, toes maybe slightly out to the corners, legs straight. From the arms out to the side, reaching up and over and swapping from side to side. As you come through the centre, try and get as tall as possible with top of the head, and then really feel that you're stretching the side seam of your top and of your torso. Good, we're going to go one more over to the side, and then I'm going to roll all the way around. I've sort of gone halfway down. I've swapped my arms over at the bottom, so one arm up and over, rolling, swap the arms over. I've got my hands just lightly resting on my knees. I'm going to go a little bit lower and a bit deeper this time, so hands are brushing along the floor. Make sure that you relax your head and shoulders when you're down at that deepest point of the bend. Just let it go. Knees are over your toes. Good. One more each way. Make sure you're breathing, not holding the breath. No tension there, and excellent. Okay, good. Number 2 of 10 things to do. We're only on number 2, which is one leg stand work. So we're going to do one leg stand work combining with 4-way hips. So I'm just going to stand sideways to my wall here, but I've only got one finger, maybe 2 fingers touching the wall. If you're feeling strong enough, please just try this freestanding. And also, all we're going to do initially is swing the free leg forwards and backwards. So I'm standing on my weaker leg. Make sure you start on your weaker leg. And then I'm swinging the other leg forwards and backwards without letting it bend. And I'm trying not to have any change in my torso. So as I swing the leg forwards, I'm trying not to let the back collapse. As I swing the leg back, I'm trying not to let the lower back, the pelvis arch especially. So from the front, everything is square, hips and shoulders absolutely square, your tissue box is in place. You will be very tempted to do a couple of things probably. Take that leg out to the side as it goes back, but also bend it. Try and keep it really straight. So you're lifted up, rib cage are lifted, ribs, the other rib cage lifted up off of the hips. Good, both legs are straight all the way through. There's no need to bend the knees. I'm keeping my foot flexed. My foot's just brushing the mat each time. Great, this will be a little bit harder. You might want to rely on a bit of support now. I just want you to bend that leg and now swing the thigh, swing the knee forwards and backwards. And now there will be a bit more of a movement in the pelvis just because you're taking a bigger movement. And also if you're freestanding, you'll probably need to swing your arms a little bit. Do whatever you need to do. Yep, just toppled over a little bit there. So the other thing I would like you to think about is an equal height at the front and the back. We're all very good at lifting that leg at the front quite high, and when it goes to the back it hardly goes anywhere. Try and have this, especially on this one, equally forwards and backwards. Well, and the last one as well actually. Good, standing leg is starting to feel a bit warmed up in the buttock area for me. I'm going to swap sides. I'm going to do the first part of the exercise freestanding, placing hands on the torso, one in front, one behind. So the only thing I can feel changing is as I sweep my leg back, my buttock is firing up, which is a good thing. But actually sometimes it can also be a little bit too restrictive. But what I'm noticing is that I'm not moving forwards and backwards. I'm really not changing. I'm keeping the legs parallel, hips and shoulders square. My tissue box isn't changing. This leg wants to turn out and go out to the side more than the other. Notice all of these things, especially if you're used to these movements. Try and fine tune it. Brilliant, and then we're bending that leg, now swinging the leg. It's much more carefree now. I'm looking for you to let the thigh be quite loose in the hip socket, and because I've got more of a balance challenge now, I'm slightly bending my standing knee, just so that I can cope with all these different adaptations, adaptations, as I'm trying to maintain my balance, staying on that same leg all the time. Wonderful. Along the same lines, back to your first leg, but we're going to face forwards to start with. So this is actually incorporates one leg standing, which is number 2. It also incorporates number 7 of today's list, which is working the inside thigh. So you're going to have your moving leg out to the side, so it's level with your other foot, toes level with each other. You're going to lift that leg up slightly, but the idea is not to change your torso. And then you're going to take that leg across as if you're drawing like one line of a capital X on the floor. So lifting it up, taking it across. You could go sideways close to a wall or something and be quite close to it. So this leg lifts at the side, level with the side of your body, and then it goes across, and if you can touch something like my wall, my skirting board here, that's going to really get that connection in the inside thighs. That's the bit that we're after. So out to the side, up a little bit, across and sweep, with no change in your torso. If you don't need to have the support of the wall and you're freestanding like I am now, add the extra challenge of swinging your arms forwards and backwards. So the leg is going out to the side, it's drawing one half of a capital X, drawing a lovely diagonal line, standing leg nice and straight, arms swinging forwards and backwards. There's none of this going on, no sideways movement for those arms, forwards and backwards. Opposite arm to leg. This is the one where you want that knee when it comes across, the opposite hand coming to the knee. You might be on the other side. Ooh, and that's quite hard work, and I'm going to swap legs. Brilliant. Again, standing leg should be where the work is happening. So on the other side, lifting, crossing over, and I know what's coming up now, so straight away I can get those arms going. And this is also partly why we do the weaker side first, because when you come to your stronger side or the second side, your brain knows what's coming up. You've already pretty much mastered the movement. But if we always do our strong side first, the second side will always remain a little bit weaker. And also we don't need to necessarily do the second side as much, because we've got the movement pattern there, it's working. It's our stronger side. We need to strengthen the weaker side. If you're close to the wall, if you're close to the wall, just have your hand low so that you can just touch the wall if you need to. And you need to be quite close to the wall if you're going to use the wall. Out to the side and across. No curly feet on this one. In my live classes this week, I've seen a few of these going on. Sort of the club foot, the curly foot curling round, especially when people were touching the wall, trying to reach the wall. No, no, no. Arms parallel, foot softly pointed, but keep that instep nice and straight. Good, and I've had enough of that one. Perfect. Okay, one more thing here. Going along the lines of the one leg stand. This is quite strong. Again, you might want a bit of support for this one. We're going to flex, bring the leg forwards as we did in the first movement with a nice straight leg, flexed foot. Then lift the knee up, point your foot and sort of thread your foot through. Bend your standing leg as much as you can and come into a nice diagonal line. That back foot can be on the floor as long as you've got this really nice diagonal line. And then you're coming upright, flexing the foot, lifting the leg, bending the knee. As that toe brushes past your other knee, bend your other knee. Create the diagonal line. And forwards, lift, thread the toe through. Find that lovely straight line from the top of your head through to that back foot. Here, as you sweep the leg through, we're back to upright. Lift, point the toes, and lift. So quite hard work. What's changing now, what has changed is that we're fully bending this standing leg, so that's working quite hard, but we've also got this really nice hinge from the hip. So from the front, my tissue box is the same. I'll face my recording camera a little bit more squarely. This is all staying the same. Perfect. Last thing, on this same side, you've got the leg out behind you. You could do this here, 2 fingertips facing a wall or the back of a chair or something. But I've just got this one hand here. Really make sure that hips and shoulders are square to wherever your front is, and then we're straightening and bending that standing leg. It's the only thing that's changing. I'm going to put my arm by my side so that it's creating that, continuing that diagonal line. So what I mean by body staying the same, or only that leg moving, is when you straighten the leg, you don't come upright and then pitch forwards. You're staying on that diagonal line, wherever that may be. If you can, maybe go a little bit lower. I'm going to take my arms, in fact I'm going to put my fingertips on my temples. Now we're talking. Now this is really strong. I'm going to finish with a capital T balance. 2 straight legs, hips and shoulders absolutely square. I'm going to try and take my arms out forwards, holding that, and bending. Oh, that's an absolute killer. That back hip always really wants to open up on that one. So let's swap sides. I want to just loosen up that hip a little bit. That's strong. Okay, so we're flexing the foot, lifting the knee, pointing the toe to go through, and bending the standing leg and hinging over the hip to come into your nice diagonal. In fact, I'm going to put fingertips to temples, maybe, yeah, that feels right. So you could try this freestanding. Not holding out too much hope on my balance today, that's not too bad actually. Hinge at the hip, bend your standing leg, pause momentarily. If you can see yourself in your monitor, in your screen, have a little look. Flex, point, extend. Have something nearby, just in case you need it. Brilliant. I'm going to hold that there. I'm going to keep my hands where they are, actually this side. I'm going to straighten and bend. So my body's tipped forwards. I'm creating that diagonal line, and then my standing leg, I'm actually bending as much as I can and straightening as much as I can. I'm just going to come forwards to show you from this angle. My foot just touches the floor. The other thing I'm concerned about here, sorry I'm just touching the wall behind me, is the alignment of this knee. Staying over the toes. I'm going to go that way. So hips and shoulders absolutely square. This knee is going over the centre of my foot. It's tough, it's all wobbling about a bit. Okay, finishing off with that balance. Woo, straight legs, hinge forwards. This is my hip that always wants to lift. It's not too bad today, but I'm going to try and take my arms forwards, holding that there. And I'm going to need to bend that knee to come out. Oh. Wow, okay, that was a good old workout. Whoever said that the 10 things to do every day were easy? Oh no. Okay, so basically that's one leg standing, but some tough work on one leg standing there. So our next exercise, our next movement of the 10 things to do every day, number 3 is a wide deep squat, or a deep squat all the way down to the floor. So to achieve that, we're going to take the arms up. We're going to drop the hips down below our knees, touch the elbows to the knees. If from the side, you might not be there just yet. You might not be warmed up enough to get those elbows to the knees. So just go towards it. But from the side, what I'm looking for is for you to send that bottom back, keep your chest up. So you could touch your elbows to your knees here, but that's not what I'm after. Lifting up, dropping down, pushing the knees out over the toes, increasing our tolerance for this position. So for me, it's a struggle. I can't comfortably do a full deep squat. So I'm always working on this. The wider my legs are, the easier I find it. But I'm just playing a little bit with it today. Just do what you can. For me, it's my ankles, my heels always want to lift up, but most importantly, make sure the knees are going over the toes. Push those knees out. Think little toe side of your legs. And that's all I'm going to do on that one today. That was number 3. We're building up to number 4. We're going to come down to the floor. There's first rhyme of class, yay. With a shoelace lunge. Have a little look. So I'm going to stand at the front of my yoga mat. I'm going to step back, and really importantly, I want you to put your chest over your thighs. Take both hands to the top of that foot. The back leg will practically already be on the floor from this position. Then I'm going to put it down. I've got loads of control there. I'm going to relax the back foot, bring my knees together, swap sides. Again, do my shoelaces up, which is why it's called the shoelace lunge. Curl the toes under on the back foot. And as I'm coming up, I'm going to take my weight forwards and over that front leg. Make sure this foot is nicely in front of your knee. And then I'm going to think about stepping forwards, up and forwards, sort of on a diagonal line almost. Then swapping sides. Oh, I don't know which one I did. Yep, no, other side. So stepping back, dropping the back knee down, but the chest on the thighs is the most important thing. And then the knees practically on the floor already. Relaxing the foot, knees together, other leg forwards, curl the toes under and stand up. Let's do 2 more of those. If you haven't been joining in, try and do 4 all together. So stepping back, stick your bottom out, hinge at the hip so that you keep your spine pretty much in its natural curves. The knee goes down quite happily. Join your knees together, swap over, make sure this is nice and wide. Curl your toes under, push the weight forwards and walk forwards out of it. Taking that same leg back. Hips, bottom back, chest over your thighs, knee down, come upright, swap over, curl the toes under, coming up. Good job. We are going to do 1 more of those, maybe 2 more. I'm going to move my monitors and we're going to end up on the floor for our we're going to end up on the floor for our hip flexor stretches. So 1 more of those, coming down to the floor, stepping back, take your hands to the top of the foot, chest on your thigh, drop the knee down, and let's stay here actually. So for our hip flexor stretches, You could be in a 90-90 angle with the thighs, and you could, I'm in a neutral position at the moment, just tuck the pelvis under. Really try and push that pubic bone forwards, switch on this buttock, and then drive the hips forwards. Keeping that chest up. Again, try and keep that front foot underneath your ankle, if not slightly in front of it. You should feel a good strong stretch at the front of this hip. Take that same arm up to the ceiling, look up, reach up, try and stretch down that side seam a little bit, and maybe just lean over towards that front knee, sideways over that front knee. Good. Let's just put that hand down to the floor. Same hand down as the back knee. The other hand is on the outside of the that front foot. Curl the toes under, straighten your back leg. Again, maybe try and lift the chest. We're stretching the front of this hip. Actually, I've got both hands on the inside now. So legs are straight, back leg is straight, sorry. Wonderful. And swapping sides, come back to your knee. So, one foot in front, tuck the pelvis under, switch on that same side buttock, keeping your chest up. Draw the hips forwards, push the hips forwards. If it's a little bit uncomfortable on your knees, put your hands either side, go forwards first, and then lift your chest. So the other way to get into the same stretch. Once you're there, if you've done it this way round, still again try and tuck the pelvis under. It won't really go very far. Taking the same arm as the back knee up to the ceiling, reach and lift all along that side seam, and then just slightly leaning over towards that front knee. Should be feeling a nice stretch across the front of your body. Place the hands down, one other side, curl the toes under, straighten out that back leg, but keep your hips low if you can. Maybe lift the chest if you're feeling strong enough in the legs today. Pushing that back heel back leg straight. Then all the way down again, hands on the inside this time. And breathing and relax. Well done. So that was number 4. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4 and 7 of our 10 things to do every day. Here we're going to come into all fours. All fours, square box position, bracing on all fours is number 5 of the 10 things to do every day. And today we're going to focus on spreading the fingers and the thumbs far apart. Get those shoulders nice and broad, lift the back of the head and neck up, be in a perfect square box position, and then we're going to take some variations on the plank. So from here, straightening out one leg, straightening out the second leg, so you're in the plank, lowering the first knee, lowering the second knee. Repeating on the other side. Straighten out the back leg, front leg, bring the first leg back in, onto the knee, second leg onto the knee. We're going to repeat that, we're going to add some different arm movements as we go. So, camera side leg straightens out, second leg straightens out. Now we're going to take opposite hand to shoulder, only 4 times. Touch the hand to the shoulder, place it back down. Swap to the other side, 4 times. You're allowed to have a little shift from side to side, but try not to lift the hips up as you do this. Bring that first knee back in, second knee back in. Repeating, but leading with the other side. Straighten out the back leg, straighten out the front leg. Try and use the other hand. You have to sort of think about that, otherwise you always end up leading everything with the same side. 4 of these, hands to shoulders, lots of strong bracing work. Bring the back knee in, front knee in. Here we go, we're adding on, we're going to take the hand to the hip now, instead of the shoulder. Extend the leg, extend the other leg. Opposite hand to hip, opposite hand to hip. Only 4 times. Really keeping that body nice and square. Draw the knee in, draw the second knee in. Back leg leads, extend the leg, extend the leg. Try to work with the other hand, start with the other hand. Keeping everything strongly braced, back knee comes in, second knee comes in. This last set, slightly easier in the sense that we're going to lift our hips up into a sort of downward dog motion. Just watch me for one time. So you're straightening out the legs into the plank. We're lifting the hips. Now you're going to take opposite hand to knee, maybe ankle. Put the hand down, return to the plank in between each one. Lift the hips, opposite hand, hand down, return to the plank for 4 before we come back out of it and do it on the other side. Here we go. So straighten the leg, straighten the second leg. Lift the hips up. Reach towards your opposite outside edge of the knee, maybe the ankle, hand down, lower your hips back into the plank. Lift your hips, reach, hand, plank. Lift the hips, reach, hand, plank. Lift the hips, reach, hand, plank. Bring that first knee in, camera knee in, back knee in. All on the other side, last set, here we go. Straightening out the back leg, straightening out the front leg. Lift the hips. I'm going to go to the other side this time. Opposite hand towards the knee or the ankle into the plank. Lift the hips and reach, plank. Lift the hips and reach, plank. Lift the hips and reach, plank. Back knee in, second knee in. Woo. And good job. Do some seeing enemies while you are just getting your breath back. Well, while I'm getting my breath back, you'll probably be fine. Great. We're going to come down onto our backs. Into the base position and just take some nice shoulder stretches from here. So reaching the arms up to the ceiling, palms are facing each other, and we're just going to reach one arm up as much as you can, actively trying to touch the ceiling, and then let that shoulder and that arm draw back down at the same sort of pace, and then swap sides. When we were standing in the warm-up and we took our arms out to the side and we thought about stretching the shoulder blades apart in opposite directions, now imagine that you're stretching just one side of your upper back from your spine outwards around that shoulder blade. The shoulder blade has moved around your ribcage wall, you're reaching up to the ceiling and then you're letting it drop back down again. So feel like you're lengthening all of those muscles. It should feel quite nice. And then, so I've done 4 of those, maybe do a couple more, do an equal amount. Then the same thing, when you've done an equal amount, lift up as high as you can and then reach across, but continue to reach up to where the ceiling and the wall meet. And then come back to the center and drop down slowly. So lifting up, so now I'm getting that stretch that we just had, and then I'm rolling over a little bit, getting a bit of extra stretch, rolling over onto the side that's staying still. Hips, knees, thighs, all staying still for this one. 4 all together if you can. My head just feels like, it feels comfortable to just let the head roll a little bit over to that side and follow that hand back to the center and down. Last one for me, lifting up, roll over slightly and lift up before you come back down. Great, okay, moving into number 6 of our 10 things to do every day, which is your bridge. So get those feet quite close to your butt, feet and knees hip width apart. We're going to take a straight bridge, and I'm going to put the backs of my hands on the floor and feel like I'm opening up my collarbone a little bit. Ribcage nice and relaxed. Just switching on those buttocks, lifting all the way up. So hopefully as well, getting a bit more of a hip flexor stretch here. I'm trying to open up at the front of those hips. So we're doubling up on a couple of exercises. Hip flexor stretch was number 4, I think. So straight up to the top, pushing down through those feet, activating those buttocks, making sure that your knees don't flare, which mine want to do because I'm tight in the hip flexors here. And then coming back down. One more of those, up to the top. This time keep your feet where they are, your toes where they are, sorry, not your feet where they are. Lift your heels up and bring your heels together. And as you do that, your hips will be able to go higher, your knees will go out over your toes. So it's like a ballet first position. Watch that the ribs are relaxed, not flaring, you're not overarching that upper back. Drop that down. Head nice and heavy, shoulders, collarbone relaxed, collarbone opened out. And then we're going to switch on and switch off at the gluteal fold. So the crease of your bottom, as you switch on every time, about 10 of these, squeeze your heels together. So this is hard work. We're working the back line of the body, the muscles at the back of the body, buttocks, hamstrings, holding those hips up, keeping the pelvis nice and stable. I have no idea how many I've done. Quite a few, it feels like. And then I'm going to keep my heels where they are. I'm going to bring my toes and therefore my knees together. Now I find this really difficult. We're going to lift the hips up as much as we can. We're going to open up the knees slightly. I would like to think I'm opening up my knees an inch, but I'm actually opening up my knees about 4 inches because again, I'm tight with this one. And this is another doubling up for those inside thighs, doubling up for number 7. As I open my knees up slightly, I'm going to switch on my sit bone, the gluteal fold, get those hips up a little bit higher, and then I'm going to squeeze the knees together. And it's all shaking. I'm going to open up the knees and squeeze, open up the knees, try and go higher and squeeze. And open up the knees and squeeze. This is tough. Feet are together. I'm working really hard to get those knees together. I'm working really hard. Pelvic floor, sit bones, gluteal fold. It's all going on. Inside thighs. Whoo! And then I'm going to open out the toes, open out the heels. I'm going to take a nice reverse peel down, a luxurious reverse peel down. I'm going to put my hands on my knees and just let those legs roll around. I'm rolling and circling my knees, stretching the buttocks out, just relaxing and mobilising that lower back, giving it a little massage. It feels quite nice. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to come back to that movement that we did earlier where we were stroking the wall, but now we're going to stroke the ceiling instead of the wall. So this time arms are up again, opposite your chest, palms are facing your knees. You're going to let your arms go back towards the floor and imagine that your arm is like a lead weight, but you can't bend your arm at this stage and it's really heavy. So as I take my arms back, it's almost like a bridge opening up. It's like a drawbridge opening up. I'm allowing my ribs to flare. I'm imagining that my arms are so heavy and your arms don't even need to touch the floor. But I've allowed my ribs to flare, my lowest ribs to flare. And then when we bring the arms back, that's when I want you to stroke the ceiling. First thing I want you to do is connect the rib cage down at the front, connect the rib cage to meet your hips. At the same time, slide the shoulder blades down in your back, feel that armpit hug happening and stroke the ceiling, softening your elbows, softening your wrists. Bring your arms down by your side. All the way through this, my pelvis is staying in neutral. So even when I'm arched in that upper body, in that thoracic spine here, when the arms are back, I'm not allowing my lower back to overarch. It's staying the same. It's staying quite switched on actually and quite strong there. So arms up and they go back. Allow the ribs to flare but stay connected in your lower tummy, that lower section of your abdominal wall. And then it's ribs, shoulder blades, armpits, all happening at the same time, and feel like you're just brushing the heels of your palms along the ceiling if you could reach. You're stroking, and then the elbows are coming down. As the hands start to come out of your periphery vision, lift your head. So now we're in an abdominal curl. My shoulder blades are cleared. I'm in a perfect neutral. I feel really strong and connected around here. If I was feeling mean, I'd make you do the 100, but we're not going to do the 100 today. But I just want you to feel this strength. Reach those fingertips towards your feet. Lower down, relax. Let's do one more of those. So arms are going up and over. In fact, not going up and over. Start from here. Get that heaviness, that sensation that the arms just weigh an absolute ton. They're going back. I don't even need to touch my arms to the floor because I'm just allowing that lever to let my ribs flare. I've relaxed all around my rib cage. This time think more about the armpits. The ribs will happen, the shoulder blades will happen. Stroke the ceiling with the palms of your hands. Tuck the chin in, lift your head, clear your head and shoulders. This should feel really nice and strong and secure. Let's just test it a moment by taking some knee folds, alternating knee folds. I feel like I'm absolutely invincible here. My neck's not hurting. I feel like this is all really nice and strong. I'm almost, I really feel that armpit hug as well. I'm in a good neutral pelvis. My pelvis isn't rocking and rolling from side to side. And enough. Well done. Okay, coming back to the movement. So that's one of our movements we did in standing. Coming back to the movement that we did that looked like this in the warm-up. So imagine I'm standing and not kneeling, but we had the elbows out to the side, we brought the elbows in, we were pushing the head into the hands. We dipped forwards, so it was like an abdominal curl, and then we swung the upper body over to the corner, and the sensation was a feeling of stretch across here, across the back of the body. And then we swung to the other side, and again the stretch is here. We're going to do that pretty much that same movement, but now because you're going to be lying on your back, you're going to start on your back. When you crunch, you're coming up off of the floor, and then this movement, you'll be lifting up towards the corner, but now it's much more of it's a crunching, it's a concertina effect in your obliques, as opposed to a stretch at the back of the wall, so at the back of the rib wall, if you like. So before we were stretching the back of the ribs, now we're crunching at the front. We're squashing those muscles in. And I'm just going to face away from you again to show you. So we are here. Elbows nice and forwards. Feet and knees in your base position, pelvis in neutral. So coming up, clearing those shoulder blades. Hopefully that feels quite nice compared to as we've just done after that work that we've just done, because your head is nice and supported now. And then we're rolling over to one side, but my focus is lifting this elbow up towards the top corner where the ceiling and the wall meet. But I'm lifting, and then I'm rolling across my bra strap without lowering the head, and I'm lifting on the other side, rolling and lifting. And if you absolutely keep your pelvis still, you should feel that wonderful twisting sensation in your torso, in your obliques. So rolling across, I'm not letting the head roll down at all. And look at the relationship between my elbows and my head and my shoulders. It's not changing. I'm using the muscles in my torso to do the twisting and the rotating. Lifting and rolling up each side. Hopefully that worked for you. Let's add on one more of those. So it's much hard, well, not much harder. Same sort of thing, but now we're going to go round in a circle. So those elbows stay in the same position. This time you're lifting, in fact, let's go lift up to the corner. Now go up and over to the other corner. Now roll across your bra strap to the corner, up and over. This is very strong. But I feel quite strong. After the work that we've done so far, I feel quite strong. 3 or 4 in one direction, don't rest, change the direction. Roll across those shoulder blades. Whew, I'm trying to keep my lower back in a neutral. It's tucking under a little bit. I'm trying to keep my hips, my legs still. Let's do one more set in each direction. It's rude not to if you're joining in with me. So up and over to the corner. 3 on this last set. Keep the head still, keep the elbows the same distance apart. Changing sides, changing direction even. And, good job if you manage that. And that you should know about that, hopefully. So, back to 10 things to do every day. Well, am I running out of time? Yes, I really am running out of time. Okay, so we've pretty much, number 7, we've done number 7 twice, which is the inside thighs. So we've got that covered. We did it standing, crossing the leg over, and then we did it in the bridge, bringing the knees together. So I'm happy that we've covered that. Number 8 is the Sphinx. Let's quickly do that, or some of those. So elbows are underneath your shoulders, just hands together, lifting up. In fact, put your hands flat on the mat, and then lifting your chest. So it's like a chest pop, but lifting, trying to get that little bit of extra back extension going on there. So lifting up. So we did some of this, and actually you can hold it for a good 30 seconds or count to 30 before you release. We did this sort of thing when we were standing in the beginning with the hands at the back of the head. So we've pretty much covered number 8. This position is called the Sphinx. So let's let's do number 9 and 10. So number 9 is a seated spinal rotation. So seated however you feel comfortable. You could have your legs out in front. You could be cross-legged. If you're going to go cross-legged, uncross your legs your natural way, your first way, and go back to your unnatural way. You could be sitting on a chair. This is a great one to do, sitting on a chair. If you're going to sit on a chair, bring your feet and knees together. The idea is that your hips stay still, your spine is as upright as possible. So if you can sit cross-legged, do that. Otherwise, any of those other, you could maybe sit on a yoga block, just to give you that little bit of extra height. But make sure your spine is in its neutral position and you're right up on those sit bones. Then you're just going to take your opposite hand to leg, so that you've got this bit of you can create this tension, this torque here. The same hand that you're going to turn towards goes behind your back. You could hang on to the back of a chair if you were sitting on a chair. And I'm using it to help me sit really upright, and then I'm rotating. So spine upright, rotate around the spine, absolutely no leaning or shortening on one side more than the other, and then swap sides. Opposite hand to knee, hand behind you to help you lift up, and make sure you're breathing. Don't get stuck. If it's uncomfortable, don't hold it for very long, don't fight it. So I've got my legs crossed, I'm going to swap over, I'm going to do 2 more. I'm going to swap my legs back the other way, and then I'm going to go back my second side first. So do the same thing. Again, just trying to unravel those habits that we have. Swapping sides, one hand is behind you, sit up really nice and tall, and breathing. Great, think of lengthening that spine. Fantastic, let's finish off. I'm going to stay here, if you're comfortable here, perfect. And we're going to just take, which is number 10, which is normally number 1 for me. I normally do this one first of all, and it's whole arm circles, going all the way round, up and back. And the idea is that we have freed up our rib cage. We've freed up that shoulder, the shoulder blade where it's attached to the rib cage. Generally, when I do this as number 1, I will do loads and loads of shoulder mobilising, maybe neck stretching to start with. But now, after doing one of those things we've done in class, it actually feels quite loose and quite free. Arms don't have to be straight, they can be bent a little bit more. Allow the rib cage to flare. You could add lots more movement into it if you wanted to. And that is live at 5 today, which has moved to Thursdays, and that was our 10 things to do every day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.